First at 4, we've got sunshine right now, but we'll see snow by the end of the weekend. Just how much are we expecting? Karen?
Pfizer just started a new countdown clock for its coronavirus vaccine as Michigan cases are jumping, setting a new single-day record for new cases. Michigan is front and center during an unprecedented presidential battle. State Republicans head to the White House, and the woman on the right explains her problem with Wayne County's results. Paula.
This weekend, these two adorable little boys prepare to be home for good. But of course, there are complexities. But love conquers all. I'll explain.
Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Drew. Let's start with that breaking news. Michigan's latest coronavirus surge is taking another jump, even as we take another step toward a possible vaccine. So let's start with a new record-breaking number. The state reporting more than 9,700 new cases in the last 24 hours. That is the highest we've seen. It's also reporting an additional 53 deaths. Today, Michigan restaurants suffered a setback in their battle against the renewed COVID restrictions. A court has refused to issue a restraining order against the state ban forbidding indoor dining at bars and restaurants for the next few weeks. Today, Pfizer formally asked regulators to allow the emergency use of its COVID-19 vaccine. That request starts the clock on a process that could see the first shots as early as next month. Pfizer says its vaccine is 95% effective without troubling side effects. Dr. Arnold Monto, an epidemiologist from the University of Michigan, will chair the committee advising the FDA on whether to grant that emergency use authorization.
It's an intellectual pressure and not a political pressure. There's no pressure on us to make a decision. We are independent. We have no financial interest, and we take seriously our responsibility to represent the American public in a very important decision.
We'll hear much more from Dr. Monto coming up at 5, including the advisory committee's biggest concern about any vaccine and what Monto says has really allowed companies to produce vaccines in such a short period of time. From Southfield, Michigan, to the White House. Our state's role in the presidential election is in the national spotlight once again. Protesters greeted a top Republican leader from Michigan as he arrived in Washington, D.C. at President Trump's invitation. That invitation to lawmakers comes as the president's campaign is trying to overturn Michigan's results. Plus, the 2 Republican members of the Wayne County Canvassing Board are attempting to decertify that county's results. Today, we're hearing from one of those board members, Kimberly Gill, in the newsroom with that part of the story. Good afternoon to you, Kim.
Hi, good afternoon to you, Karen. The chair of the Wayne County Board of Canvassers says this isn't about the presidential campaign and it has nothing to do with racism. Instead, she says it's about getting the vote count correct. Monica Palmer says she finally agreed to certify the Wayne County vote, hoping more work would be done. Listen.
That motion to certify was contingent upon the comprehensive audit that needs to be done before there is a certification by the state. An audit after the fact is not going to answer those unexplained precincts, and they still will not be recountable.
Now, Palmer says she and her fellow Republican William Hartman were misled with promises of that audit. They've sent affidavits trying to decertify Wayne County's results to the State Board of Canvassers. Palmer claims about 70% of Detroit's absentee counting was out of balance, and that's a problem that needs to be fixed. Out of balance, however, doesn't necessarily mean there was fraud, but it is more likely a result of human error and usually does not stop certification. Leading Democrats have confidence in Michigan's results.
Our elections in our state were secure, free, and safe. There is no basis, in fact, for not certifying the results of this election. The Board of State Canvassers has a legal obligation to respect the will of the voters.
The State Board of Canvassers meets on Monday in Lansing. Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson says there's no legal mechanism for Palmer and Hartman to rescind their votes. So, Karen, we're going to dig deeper into Palmer's claims, and we're gathering new reaction. We'll have much more to come on all of this when we see you for the news at 5 and 6.
All right. Thank you, Kim.
Sure.
Well, at this hour, we're told 6 Republican lawmakers from Michigan will be meeting with President Trump at the White House. This is video of State Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey arriving in D.C. this morning. It's not clear why they've been invited, but Democrats are blasting the meeting as it comes while the president's campaign tries to overturn election results here in Michigan. House Speaker Lee Chatfield tweeted this afternoon, quote, "No matter the party, when you have an opportunity to meet with the President of the United States, of course, you take it. I won't apologize for that," end quote. We'll keep you posted as we learn more about the meeting. And at this point, President Trump has virtually no success to show for his efforts to overturn the results in any battleground states. Today, Wisconsin has started to recount vote in 2 heavily Democratic counties. Last night, Georgia finished a hand tally of ballots in the presidential race and affirmed that Biden carried the state by roughly 12,000 votes. Those votes should be certified by 5 p.m. The current tally for lawsuits filed by the Trump campaign across the country is 1 victory against 29 losses. So far, Biden still leads in the Electoral College with 306 votes to 232 for the president. It takes 270 to win. Oh, we're seeing some sunshine. It is beautiful out there, but we do fear, Ben Bailey, that you are going to bring us some news that's not going to continue with this beautiful trend.
We don't fear Ben Bailey, comma. We
don't fear you, just sometimes your message.
Exactly. I'm just bringing you the news here, guys. But yes, we are expected to see some snow by the end of the weekend. The precipitation that we're going to see, you can see it's starting to take shape down there in central parts of Illinois and Missouri. That's along a front which is going to pass through here dry tonight, but look at the setup for Sunday. That sort of wiggles back to the north, and you can see how that precipitation is going to be right along it, and the position of that low will be crucial. Where it ends up depends on really what we get as far as rain or snow and how much of each. So tomorrow we're at average, Sunday only 38, so most of that day is going to be spent, obviously all of it's going to be in the 30s. We'll talk about just how much we can expect as far as snow and who gets the worst coming up in a few minutes. Karen?
All right. Thank you, Ben. Well, this is an important weekend for a local family. They're preparing for an early Thanksgiving as they become an official family unit. It's been a long 8 months for the Link family of Ferndale, but the end of the road creates a heartwarming new beginning. Paula Tutman explains.
They are adorable, complex, in some ways even injured by their experiences of their short little lives. But this weekend, they prepare to tie the bow on the beginning of their new lives as they become the missing links for a Ferndale family.
Draw 4. Draw 4? You're not funny.
Michelle and Chris Link have 6 grown children, and yet they felt like they could raise 2 more.
I don't think we were done, right, really with raising children and determined that we hadn't done enough to leave the world a better place than what we found it.
Through the Judson Center, they were introduced to 11-year-old Tristan and his 8-year-old brother Aiden, who came into the home as foster children. And then COVID struck.
I now found myself homeschooling, which someday they said they're gonna write a book about the homeschooling nightmare.
Did you go back into to Canvas and check the homework that you missed yesterday?
Yes, I quadruple checked.
And in that intensive, saturating experience together, the family found love. For a child, it is so simple.
They say they love us, they give us hugs, they make us feel like we belong here.
When did you realize that you were in love with them?
I was on the way to Chicago and Aiden called me and he asked me, when was I going to be home? All right. And this was maybe like 2 months into it. And at the end of it, he just said, I love you. I'm like, oh, that's it.
How does a white family raise young men of color in these very dangerous times for young men of color?
My concern is having children living in maybe necessarily with white privilege, not understanding that the world's not going to see it that way. How do I protect them in ways that traditional, African-American mothers work so hard to protect their boys with, the lessons that they impart on them. But I have concerns, like when they're wearing a hoodie, what are the lessons that I'm missing that the African-American mothers of today are very, very, very conversant in, because they live it and live that fear that I've not had to live.
But they are ready to face these challenges head on and have grown and will grow even more. Indeed, COVID has been able to stop a lot of things, but it has yet to get in the way of true love. Yeah, you know what? I think this is exactly the way to end a Friday. After a long, tough week, Karen, you mentioned Thanksgiving. Most of us will celebrate it on Thursday. For this family, it comes on Tuesday, Adoption Day. And, I just got goosebumps, which means this is good.
It really is, Paula, and I have a feeling that Thanksgiving celebration on Tuesday is going to continue to last day after day, week after week. We appreciate ending the week on such a positive story. Thanks, Paula. Still ahead, maternity leave protection. Now, this is one of the most popular sports in the world, and they're working on getting some new regulations for athletes who become moms. We'll talk about that. Plus, President Trump makes his first public appearance in a week, what he's trying to do about drug prices. And how do you rescue an elephant that's fallen down a well? Of course, the answer is very carefully. But there is more to the story coming up next. Also, here is a reminder.